Hello designers! In this video, we will be creating an animation resembling scrolling through the pages of a book in After Effects. Let's begin by opening a new document. Next, I will import a paper texture for the book. I've already downloaded this paper JPEG, so let's import it. Simply drag and drop it onto the timeline. Alright, let's proceed step by step. Firstly, use the text tool to draw a rectangular shape to contain the text, ensuring it stays within the canvas boundaries. Then, press Ctrl+V to paste your copied text into the shape. Once done, align the text both vertically and horizontally on the document. Next, let's set the anchor point to the center by selecting it and double-clicking on the anchor point tool while holding Ctrl+CMD on your keyboard. Now, create an open camera by going to Layer, New, Camera. Make these layers 3D now. Moving on to Camera Options, navigate to Transform. Ensure the timeline indicator is at the first frame. Then click on the stopwatch icons next to Point of Interest and Position. Now, using the provided tools, adjust the position, scale, and rotation of the paper as needed. Now, let's start by adjusting the paper using the Orbit tool to position it according to your preference. Remember, the placement of the page is entirely up to you. These three tools will aid in achieving the desired positioning. Once adjusted, let's focus on highlighting the A Path to Fulfillment line on this page. Ensure it appears nicely within the frame. Now, let's move the timeline indicator to the 1 second frame. We'll adjust the timing of the text or book later, once we've reviewed the animation to see what looks good and what needs tweaking. On the second frame, let's move the text to bring other words or text into the frame. We'll adjust it accordingly, highlighting the Strive for Greatness text. OK. Let's move the timeline indicator to the 2 second frame. Here, we'll adjust the positioning of other text within the frame. I'll have the text, shaped by their aspirations, highlighted. Moving on to the 3 second frame. Let's adjust the position and rotation of the text. This will be the last frame, where the text, "Every failure a lesson to be learned," will be highlighted. Once done, let's review the animation. It seems too fast, so we need to adjust the timing to allow for each text to be readable before moving to the next frame. Alright, now let's make the necessary adjustments to ensure the timing is appropriate for each text to appear clearly before transitioning to the next frame. To adjust the timing, let's zoom in to see the keyframes more clearly. We want the current text frame to remain visible for a few more frames, perhaps 5 or 10 frames longer. Firstly, let's copy these keyframes. Select them, then press Ctrl+C to copy. Now, move the timeline indicator 5 frames forward and paste the keyframes in this new position. Next, let's move the keyframes to the 10th frame to extend the duration of this frame for an additional 5 frames. This will allow more time for the text to be readable. Now, let's repeat this process for the other frames as well. Zoom in to ensure precision. For the second frame, select the keyframes, press Ctrl+C to copy them, then move 10 frames forward and paste them using Ctrl+V. Now, let's move to the third frame where the next text appears. Again, select the keyframes, copy them with Ctrl+C, move the timeline indicator 10 frames forward, and paste them with Ctrl+V. Repeat this process for the last frame as well. Select the keyframes, copy them, move 10 frames forward, and paste them. Now that we have adjusted the timing for all frames, let's review the animation. If it still seems too fast, we can select all the keyframes and give them a bit more space to move by dragging them. Then, select the last 2 frames and move them accordingly to ensure the animation doesn't move too quickly. Now go to Camera Options. Turn on Depth of Field. Great. Let's proceed with adding markers to indicate when each frame will transition. Starting with the first frame, click to add a marker. Then, move to the frame where the second text appears and add another marker. Repeat this process for the third and fourth frames as well. Once the markers are added, close the transform option and navigate back to the camera options. Here, we'll adjust the depth of field and focus distance to control which elements are in focus and which are blurred. By tweaking the focus distance and aperture, certain parts of the frames will come into focus while others remain blurry. Our focus is on ensuring that the path to fulfillment text remains in focus, while other elements may be blurred. Remember, each frame may require different values for focus distance and aperture to achieve the desired effect. Let's adjust these settings accordingly for each frame. Moving to the third frame, we'll similarly adjust the focus distance and aperture to ensure that the shaped by their aspirations text is in focus while other elements may be selectively blurred or in focus. This creative adjustment adds visual interest to the animation. Let's proceed with these adjustments. After adjusting the focus distance and aperture values for the fourth marker, ensuring that every failure, a lesson, text is in focus, let's review the animation. Now, let's close the Camera 1 option and proceed to create a null object. Go to Layer, New, Null Object. Then, parent Camera 1 to Null 1 by using the Pickwhip tool to drag and drop it onto Null 1. Select the Null 1 layer and press P to bring up the position property. Apply an expression by pressing Alt-Command and clicking on the stopwatch next to position. Enter the expression, wiggle, 1, 10, in the round brackets to make the effect move more smoothly. Now, let's move on to the last step. Adding highlights to the text. Zoom in to the first frame where a path to fulfillment should be highlighted. Use the pen tool with no layer selected, remove the fill, and give it a yellowish stroke. After using the pen tool to draw a line, increase the stroke weight to 25 and adjust its position to overlay the text. Ensure its rotation and position are adjusted accordingly. Select the layer and change its blending mode to multiply, as it provides a visually appealing effect. Now, let's increase the stroke weight further. OK. Before the frame starts moving, let's trim the highlight layer. Trim it from the 10th frame to ensure it aligns perfectly. Now, let's make a duplicate of this highlighted shape layer by pressing Ctrl+D on the keyboard. Alright, let's continue by moving the duplicated highlight layer to the second marker where the "Strive for Greatness" text appears. Adjust its scale, position, and rotation to ensure it highlights the text effectively. Once adjusted, trim the layer using the keyframes shown by pressing U to reveal them. This will ensure the highlight layer is visible only when the text is on screen. Now, duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl+D. Repeat this process for the third and fourth marker. Adjusting the highlight layer to match the "shaped by their aspirations" text here. Now duplicate this highlighted layer again. Adjust it on top of the "Every Failure, a Lesson to be Learned" text. Ensure the duplicated layers are positioned correctly between the keyframes. Once all adjustments are made, review the animation to ensure everything looks good. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Your support is greatly appreciated.